Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 27, Like a Sieve. I am your host, Ed Horn, and alongside me tonight, Mr. Sean Dorsey. Sean, how's it going, my friend?
Good. How you doing, Ed?
Good. Always better the second time. The stuff you guys miss when we edit things out.
Yes.
And, of course, our producer extraordinaire, Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going, my friend?
Good, thanks, Ed.
So we've got quite a few things going on to discuss tonight. There has been some leakage, some stinking Denmark, so to speak. We've got some stuff that kind of got released that may have come out just a hair early, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it. Little things like, Australia got Wave 4, and we may have seen an updated rules reference. So that's such a big topic. We're going to go ahead and save that for the main topic tonight. So that's mostly what we're going to be discussing, and odd little things that's going on with FFG and where they're holding worlds this year. We kind of have to talk about that at least briefly. So it's going to be hopefully a quick short show. You know how ours are, real quick, 90 minutes tops, maybe 3 hours. We'll see how it goes on that one. So we're just going to go ahead and keep on rolling. We're going to right into the flight deck. So Sean, I don't know if you have any games played that you wanted to discuss, but I figured I'd kick the ball on your court to start off with.
Interestingly, I got a quick game in this weekend, and it was quick because of the dice. Literally
you saw
the
my
dice.
game with Chad.
So
I think we're all going to have that game this week.
Yeah. But so lucky for me, I was I got the set of six world's dice, the attack dice, in the Outer Rim game. So I wanted to try those out and basically see how they did. And oh my God, are they like some of the hottest dice I've ever used ever?
I totally want to do that. I wish that there were defense dice that came in that game. Otherwise, that'd have been an easy sell.
You need an expansion pack for it. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we went 6 rounds. My son conceded. I had all three fire sprays for range one to one of his ships, and I rolled three natural crits on the first, and a hit. The second one was 3 hits and a crit natural, and the third one was 3 focus and a crit, and I spent the focus and basically burn off 2 ships in one round. And,
so if you want to win an X-Wing, just go and buy the Outer Rim Smugglers game.
Yeah, they were really like the best dice I've rolled, except when I'm playing Outer Rim, because then we went and played Outer Rim, which I'm going to say Outer Rim is a better version of Firefly in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe it's like almost a reskin, but like obviously every time they do that kind of reskin, they like tune it and fix a couple of things and do all of that stuff.
The cool thing in it too is it has like Euro engine building too. If you can get lucky enough to get the right people or the right crew or the right cargo, it's actually a very good game. And what I'm now, and I've only played it 2-player, so I haven't had the intrigue of the 3 and 4-player game. But what I enjoy about that game, and I know this is an X-Wing topic, but it's still within our purview here.
It's lack of focus. We never stay on topic.
That is true too. But one of the keys about the game is it will play differently every time just by changing the board. The system alignment on the board changes the game completely, and the randomness. It's going to be a great game for expansions. I think it's one of the games that they're going to be able to do. Put out an expansion box for $30-$40. And maybe that's where you get your defense dice. Truthfully, is they could do it in that.
Fingers crossed.
Where they put a mechanic in that uses defense dice or something like that. But it is actually, I'm kind of picky when it comes to board games and how I enjoy, because I rarely play board games to win. I play them to learn them, and then I play them to compete in them. But I don't really give a shit about winning one way or the other. With this game, it's almost like you're driven to want to win, right from the get-go, because it's all about fame. You're gaining fame with the Hutts or the Rebels or, Imperials and all that. And it's cool when you pull a card that's really neat and it works with what you have. My son kicked the crap out of me. He beat me 10 fame to 4. in about 2 hours. The game played in about 2 hours. It was really good, and we're still learning, so we're still getting rules down and stuff, which slows us down. But he had an engine going that was the most incredible thing I've seen in a game in a while. And I play a lot of Terraforming Mars, where that's entirely an engine building game to mostly be successful at. And this one was fun. It was cool, and I didn't get the Millennium Falcon. I got the YT 1300 because I didn't hit the mission stats to be able to flip it to the Falcon. But it's such a good game. And then my son drew a card where he could have stolen it from me, but the game is already over. So that's how cool the game is. Yeah, that's how cool the game is. So
buy it for the dice and actually attempt the game because it's kind of fun.
It is, yeah, exactly. There are people who aren't going to like the game. I can guarantee you that right now. But if you're like me, who likes the intrigue in a game and the variety in a game, this game is definitely for you. It's a fun game to play. That's why I wish we were all in the same city, because we could get together and play this game. Because
here.
It truthfully, it's I can't wait for the first expansion. I cannot wait to see that announcement.
Well, hopefully, no promises yet, but Jill's parents are coming from November until January. So if we maybe can potentially sort out a weekend, try and all go somewhere, just get an Airbnb in some random place and all travel together, play games, and record a live show maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. I get some vacation time I haven't used yet.
Yeah. When I can just leave the babe with grandparents and okay, I'm done. See ya.
Yep, peace out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how long of a drive it is from Pittsburgh to Omaha, but it can't be that long.
It won't be as long as it is from Calgary to Omaha.
Right. Yeah, but you'll be flying. I'll be driving, or unless you intend to drive it.
I don't know yet. It depends. We've got a flight voucher from when we switched our insurance, I think. So if I can get a WestJet flight somewhere, I think it's a WestJet voucher. We'll see.
So I'm literally gonna do this live. I want to see what the distance is, just so I know. So I want to go to Omaha.
What we could do, if you're gonna do an 18-hour drive, we could all just go to Minnesota and just do our own little FFG con at Game Center. Then we all have to travel. Nobody wins.
Yeah, we could do that too.
So Omaha is 13 hours for me. That's a good question.
That's not bad.
How far is Roseville?
5.5 from Omaha. I can tell you that right now.
Roseville, Minnesota.
To the hotel from my house is 5.5 hours.
It's actually shorter for me to drive to Minnesota than it is to drive to Omaha.
It should be, yeah.
So shall we'll pencil that in for some point between November and January.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
We'll have to see with my back. That'll be the big thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I'll drag Chad with me.
If it's a Sean's back issue, we can do it in Omaha.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing, is just the back. So.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
you sold me. I'm in.
Okay, so we spoke about it on air now. We're all committed. There's nothing we can do.
We'll do the live show from there. We'll do it live.
Yeah, if we have to do it, if we do go to Minnesota, we'll have to make it a patrons can come and play with us as well in the FFG Game Center.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll advertise dates. We can have a lack of focus con in the FFG Game Center and all eat cheese toasties.
Yeah, at least there'll be something going on there this year.
Yeah. and the patron who is paying the most in gets to sit with me for an hour and pick my brain.
I thought you were going to say pick the onions out of your cheese toasty.
All right, so the only game that I have, was able to go and see Chad. He is doing much, much better. He is on his feet, so he's recovering well from his surgery. So he is getting closer and closer to returning. That's always good. So I decided to think I'm still kind of stuck on at least I was still kind of stuck on the Fat Han list. One of the things I didn't care for from the list is I really felt like it was one ship versus the world. Yeah, Jake's in the list. And what I had said to Kris in kind of my post game is I feel like it's more of a finesse list that I'm like, that's just not my playstyle. My playstyle is to kind of go in and punch you in the face. And when I try to fly that list, like I do, I end up losing the game. So I wanted to put a little bit more punch into the game, so or into the list. So what I did is I traded Kanan, which was a bit of a trade because the Kanan inertial dampeners kind of thing, for Leia. And my thought process behind that was how many times did I actually use Leia's ability or Kanan's ability? Once, maybe twice that entire game that I ever use it. So technically, Leia can
How
pull
many
off the same.
times did you roll dice and go, oh, I've got a force point I can spend?
Yes, and trust me, that was what was felt. I did definitely feel the missing the soft modifier on the dice, which is probably one of the things I definitely made a mistake on. But by making that switch, it allowed me to put Wedge in instead of Jake, which gave me a little bit more of a harder punch. Now, what ended up happening, Chad mixed up his list. He actually dropped Vader from his list, which I thought was interesting. So he actually went with Soontir Fel. He went. I'm sorry, it wasn't Soontir Fel. It was Turfanier. He went with.
Oh, I'm proud of Chad already.
Yeah, so he went with Turfanier. He was still running Pure Sabak, and he was still running Vermeil. What happened in the I did a lot of maneuvering. I was doing what I was supposed to. The turn zero stuff was a little bit better. He was a little bit more onto it this time, so he kind of spread things out a little bit more. So I made it a little bit more difficult. I flew well in the opening exchange. In the opening fire, I had my primary target was Pure Sabak because of the extra dice. So I had Pure Sabak through a rock with Han. Han's on the other side of the rock, and I had Wedge target locked on Pure Sabak. I rolled 14 red dice because Wedge was target locked, picked him up, blank, blank focus. Pick him back up, re-roll him. I had Han's ability, rolling his 4 dice with trick shot. Between all of the dice rolls that I rolled 1 hit of all of my rerolls. So of course, when you are kind of betting the farm to take 1 ship off the board within your opening exchange, and you don't even put damage on it because it's like, oh yeah, there's my 1 of 8, it's done, and nothing else happens. Wedge evaporated, and then it was this entire list against Han. I mean, and it took some time, but I mean, I was picking off a shield here, picking off a shield there. There was a point in time where the only damage that he had taken all game was a rock that he intentionally flew over to get better position on me, and it just.
So it sounds like, Ed, that you chose to play the game and then lost. So
Yep. So it spawned a good conversation between us in kind of our post game discussion chat where I was like, I need a list that plays more like me. Like I want a list that I want to be able to fly in, punch you in the face, take a little bit of damage, and take some ships off the board. That's kind of my play style. And these finicky finesse, it's the same reason why the Kylo Ren list didn't work really well for me, because that whole list is designed behind I'm going to take 1 ship off the board and then prevent you from shooting me for the rest of the game. But it doesn't feel like playing X-Wing to me. Like I want to get in there. I want to roll some dice. I want to put damage cards on. Like that's what I want to do, and that's
have you ever heard of a thing called a swarm list?
So my problem with that is you're talking about how well the outer rim dice roll. I have those old regional dice, the clear regional dice, the ones that go for super absurd amounts of money. Those things roll like crap, let me tell you. But I continue to roll them because, damn it, I won those dice. And for whatever reason, whenever I run, especially specifically TIE Swarm, I never roll evades. So those ships just drop off the board quickly and quickly. So that is a list I am considering going back to, because I've seen that the TIE Swarm is still doing well in some of the tournament lists that I've seen. I'm still considering going back to it, but for whatever reason, I think that's kind of where my problem with second edition is. I just haven't found my list. I haven't found a list that says this is me, this is what I play, and this is the style that I play in. Once I find that, I'm going to be getting much better at the game. I feel like I'm constantly tweaking in the lab trying to figure out a list for me. So, Kris, we had talked about this. We might consider. We were supposed to try to get a game on Vassal and record for the in focus, but unfortunately, schedules didn't kind of align up. We're going to try to do it again this weekend, and maybe we'll try a different list that matches my style.
So what I thought we could do is actually perfecting the list we can do on an in focus thing, but what I wanted to try and get nailed down today, just so we can try and plan stuff in advance, is we'll pick you a faction. There's 7 factions. So if we can try and nail down right here and now, be a single faction player for like 6 weeks. Give me 6 weeks. So 3 shows of playing just one faction, and we'll we'll see how we can do. If you can find
Okay.
something you feel like kind of fits what you want to do.
I think I might start Rebels then. I feel like they're a little bit tankier. They can take a little bit more punishment. I think they're a little bit more forgiving, where my green dice tend not to be. So, yeah, if I have to pick one faction for 6 weeks, I think that's where I'll go.
Okay. So there's multiple different options for Rebels. Obviously, a real popular thing at the moment, and one that I feel like you would definitely enjoy is the list that Bob won his hyperspace with, and I think it's Kalen Wong's Rebel list. I don't have it in front of me, but off the top of my head, it would be Wedge with Swarm Tactics, um, a U-wing with Leia, normal. So basically, the core of a strong Rebel squad at the moment is um, Cassian with Leia, and then Braylon Stram in the B-wing. There's a couple of ways that you go from there. I think you like Initiative 6 ships, so I would say take Wedge as well. Then you can swarm tactics on Wedge, and then you've got points to play around with. At the moment, you can do stuff like a second B-wing. You could do big, so you can fit all of that in there and do a bit of damage spread. But given that points change on the 25th, we might have to look at taking it down to Jake.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next show too.
So,
that is coming.
Yeah, but I think Rebel Beef's going to be viable, and obviously we need to pick if we want to do hyperspace or extended stuff. So
yeah, so that was a question that we talked about. Now I know that I have changed my stance on that. I feel like I don't have much of a choice, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm as well noted. My original stance on this was I always felt like hyperspace was X-Wing 2.0, and that extended was a nod to the players that still hold old ships. I'm wrong. Okay. I accept it. So if that is the case, then I need to go into this going, okay, so hyperspace or extended is X-Wing.
Yeah.
So that opens the door for quite a few other things as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And that means I'm going to have to go buy a U-Wing because I don't own one.
Yep.
It's okay. I think the store has one.
If you can find Saw's Renegades, get that one, because then that's the only way to get those cards. Magma's pretty good. But not necessarily needed. Obviously, Cassian would be the B-wing of the U-wing of choice at the moment.
Okay, so I'm literally sitting in yet another squad builder building that one. So I've got Wedge, Braylon Stram, and Cassian Andor, and then we've got room for probably another ship.
For a lot of upgrades.
Yeah, that's all without upgrades. Correct.
Yeah. You can get some upgrades. I like to say you can do selfless. You can do crack shots if you don't want to take swarm tactics. There's different ways. You've got a little bit of play, but we'll see how much play exactly you have in 2 weeks' time.
In about 3 weeks, yeah. What are they running on Braylon? Is it just Braylon just naked, or?
You don't really need anything on Braylon. So let me pull it up. But basically, Braylon is you take the focus action. So you coordinate him a target lock. Then I don't even know what I'm talking about. You just literally take the focus action and barrel roll into the U-wing. So your barrel roll fails, you get the stress anyway. So you have a fully modded shot because Braylon lets you reroll some die when you're stressed.
Yeah, up to 2 dice.
Yeah, you've got the focus. And then Cassian removes it before he activates it the next turn anyway. So it was like he was never even stressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Cassian's running Leia, and then that still leaves me 49 points to play with another ship.
Yeah. Captain Rex.
Biggs. I would go big. I would go Biggs.
No.
Biggs and then selfless. I think so. Okay, I'll pull it up. Let me.
Yeah, no, I've got it. I'm pulling it up right now. So if I went, Biggs was selfless.
So Biggs doesn't get selfless. You put selfless onto Braylon or Cassian, depending.
Okay, gotcha.
Because then they don't have any agency at all in what they do. It makes for a fun and engaging game.
I can't squeeze that in.
No, okay. That's fine.
So if you go with Wedge with Swarm Tactics, you go Braylon with Selfless,
Yeah, I don't
Cassian
see.
Andor with
Yeah,
Leia and Biggs, it's 202.
you'd have to drop Swarm Tactics from Wedge if you wanted to do Selfless and Biggs.
Mm.
But so what you can do, what Bob and Kalen ran was a Y wing with a veteran turret gunner and an ion turret. Because I think you can. I think they were, and they might have not been running Cassian in honesty, and they definitely weren't running Braylon. But I'm trying to
We're literally talking this out as we go.
yeah, move it a little bit forwards. But what I think will be good, or definitely still fit, is you put Jake in there, and then Jake just gives everyone focus tokens as well.
So instead of the Y wing, go with Jake instead.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You can have trick shot and crack shot on Jake, because why wouldn't you load points onto this guy whose only job is to pass out focus tokens?
Exactly.
And I think you can get Selfless on Cassian.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you've got 9 points, man. Oh, I didn't put Leia on. That's what I did wrong.
Yep. So that leaves me at 193, which sounds like a good number.
Well, that sounds like I hope they don't increase Leia's points by 7.
yes, it does.
Yeah, the combination.
I've got a feeling that might be on my list next week.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would try. And you've got points to play with. Jake's obviously interesting. You could, if depending on how it goes, you could try and do a Swarm Tactics chain. You could maybe put Swarm on Jake as well. If you're going at the minute, because you don't really need the bid, you could spend that 7 points on putting Prockets on Jake as well.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
And then nobody wants to be in his arc.
Yep, no, I would agree. All right, so that's a good start. All right, so that'll be the list I start off with. We'll start it off raw there, and then obviously we'll try to get a game in this weekend, maybe on Saturday. We are recording on a Thursday, and see how it does. So I've talked enough about me. This is all about Kris. Kris, what have you been doing lately?
I did have some games of X-Wing. I kind of missed out playing some one week, but then got caught up. So for once, I wasn't running an event on the Saturday. I was running Keyforge and a Bits trade day on the Sunday. So because I wasn't going to be working on Saturday and Jill was off, I stayed at the store until 2 in the morning playing X-Wing. So I got 3 games in after the live stream. So we played The Rise and Fall of Anvalor, which is a Games Workshop IP that WizKids made. It's kind of like a tower defense board game. Really good fun. You should check it out.
In the universe of Warhammer?
Age of Sigma, yeah. But you play as
it's the same thing in my book.
Yeah. It's all fine. You have Empire, Dwarves, and Dark Elves, and then 2 different Stormcasts and the Fire Slayer Dwarf people. So 6 different races with 4 different abilities on each race that you can pick one of. So there's loads of combos you can do there. It's 1 to 4 players. And then you have 3 different villains. So you can play against Orc, Skaven, or Khorne Chaos. And they've got different difficulty levels. And basically you're trying to play tiles out your hand to build up a city. And then you defend it from the waves of the attacks. Once all of the enemies are used up, you look at who's got the most points and that player wins. So you're trying to work together to build the city and make sure it doesn't just get overrun. But you're also trying to yes, I promise I will protect your buildings. If you build your buildings behind my troops, I won't just let them die. So yeah, loads of good stuff. A lot of my units had, if I kill a unit, I can move. So rather than my plan was I'll place them in front of my allies' buildings, and then you can attack diagonally. So I'll kill the guy who's diagonal, then move into a space in front of that guy who's now dead, leaving a path for the marauding orcs to go down and destroy all the buildings. But I never got to pull it off. So it was sad times. That was my plan anyway. So yes, I will defend all of your structures. I will place my outriders here. And yeah, it didn't work. But then I actually played some X-Wing after that. So I played 3 games. I ran 2 games of my latest incarnation of my Paul 3A list. Still kept Paul the same at like
I was
75
going to say,
points.
how did that list change?
Paul Dameron's not changed. It's Paul R2 Astromech, Heroic, and Black One. I think that was it. 75 points. I've got the software open. I could just look at my list, I suppose. Saved squads. Where are you? And it was. I've got so many lists on this now. Paul 3A, Paul Plus. I think it's this one. We'll go with this one. We'll pretend it was here.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so Heroic R2, Black One, Integrated S foils. Then I had Tally with Crackshot and I always get this the wrong way around. Advanced Optics. And I had Zari with Crackshot and Advanced Optics. So they both come in at 40 points. And then Lulo just had Crackshot and Heroic. So no Advanced Optics, but that made him come in at 40 points as well and gave me a reasonable bid. I think it was like a 7 or a 5 point bid. I'll have to double check. Or maybe in fact, I'll just finish building the list rather than lying to everyone because I'm so prepared. So yeah, 40 points there, 40 points here, and then take that off, and we have a grand total of 195 points. So it's 75 point Paul and 3 40-point A-wings. And I feel like I'm flying a 210 point list.
Just because of how efficient they are?
Paul's okay. As in, he's good. I'm not so sorry. Paul's really good. Zari is good. Tally is good. Lulo, I'd pay 50 points for this Lulo and still be okay. What do I want to be today? Do I need to be an X-Wing or an A-Wing? Let me pick. It's just...
Still keeping that dial, by the way, just around the same page.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do I want to? Do I need that extra die? Do I? Maybe not. Or I'll just run away and not stress myself. Have the 3 agility. Oh, I'm at range 3 now because I did a 5 forwards and boosted away from you. So I'm actually 4 agility. Oh, you're in Tally's arc. Oh, I've got 5 agility. Oh, did you go for Lulo because you thought I was going to be a 2 agility X-Wing this turn? Oh, sorry.
Too bad for you.
Yeah. I got to pull off Tally like jousting people and using her ability on herself. So she went head to head with Darth Vader and came out okay. She gave up half points, but she was alive.
That's the important part.
Yeah. I played against Vader, Suntir, and 2 bombers with barrage rockets. That was probably the closest game I've had with this list. I foolishly gave him a couple of extra shots that I didn't need to with the barrage rockets to try and get positioning with other ships. So it put the pressure onto Paul relatively early. Whereas I killed Suntir in the... Effectively, I killed him in the first round of shooting, but he only died in the second turn. But I double stressed him and with a crit, and he only had 1 hit left, so it was pretty much done. And then I committed Zari's rear arc, a shot from Lulo, and to try and finish him off. Pretty confident he wasn't going to have a token. Got him down, and flanked with Tally, thinking that she'd deal with the TIE bombers, but it's still an A-wing, and they've still got 6 health each behind 2 agility, so they were pretty rugged. But at time, I had my Paul at half points and a full Tally. and he had, was it? Yeah, it was a full tally, and he had one bomber left. So I'd managed to just kill Vader. I was Once I got half onto Vader, I was ahead, so he had to play more aggressively. But it swung back and forth like that a couple of times. So that was a really good game. I played against another Resistance list guy running Cat, which is the Initiative 1-star Fortress with Trajectory Simulator, Page, loads of stuff on this thing to get you like with double taps and everything, and then Han Solo. We deployed Han on my left flank, fairly like just outside range 3, and then swung. And I was like, "There's no way he's turning into me. He has to be running with Han." So I played for him to run with Han, which meant I could put everything into a Star Fortress, and it went well.
It did what you thought it was going to do.
Yeah, when you shoot everything, all 4 ships into one thing, and it only has 1 agility, that one thing tends to die. So
when you roll paint, that is.
I don't even need to roll paint. I've got advanced optics.
Oh, that's true.
The number of times when I've run advanced optics that again, this is definitely a I feel like moment, but I feel like I roll a hell of a lot of blanks and 1 focus. It's like, oh, well, that was a worthwhile 4 points. I would rather roll double blank, so at least I feel like advanced optics is paid off.
Right?
But, yeah, it's fine. Then I wanted a break, so I ran Anakin and the 2 arcs. I did a Should I Fight video by Anakin 2 arcs. I think I played you already with that list. It basically hasn't changed.
I remember that list well.
And at this point, it was like 1 a.m. at 12:31 a.m. It was getting pretty late. And I was looking across at my opponent. He had Quick Draw, Blackout, and Tavson. And I was like, do I really want to play this game? If we play it properly, it's going to go to time, and I'm tired. So I was like, okay. I deployed my 2 arcs in the right-hand side, looked across the table, and he spread everything out, and then I put Anakin down next to my arcs. And it's like, I am just going to go forwards. A mid-speed, I'm just going to move forwards.
3 straights, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. 3 straights. And then if he didn't, I did 3 straights and then a 5 straight with Anakin. And he didn't turn Tavson in. He was still in the centre of the table. So I was like, okay, that means if I go 3 straight again, Tavson can't catch me without me actually getting to isolate Quick Draw first. And although I'll be putting myself into a corner with Anakin, if he wants to punish me, he has to come into that corner in front of these 2 arcs, so we're both going to be rolling 4 attack dice because of 7 Fleet Gunner. And he obliged. So
oh, how kind of him.
I chose to Afterburners and Aether Sprite ability Anakin to be sat at range 1 in arc of Blackout, but not obstructed, and Quick Draw, I think. So I gave him 2 shots on Anakin, but I was like, okay, so he's going to roll 9 dice at me. I've got 6 health. I'll have two agility with 4 force points to spend. It should be okay. I shouldn't die. If Anakin lives on 1 health, I'm still okay, because I can regen back 2 shields, and then it's all okay. If I live on 2 health, that's gravy, because then I can get back above half points and not give up anything. Anakin lost 2 shields. Which sucks, because he shot 3 dice from... It was 4 dice from Blackout. Anyway. So it basically rolled... I think it was only 7 dice, so one of them must have been in range 2. I think Blackout might have been range 2. But... He didn't do well, shall we say. I target locked as my normal action, spent all of my force on offense, and I got Blackout shields down. He did damage to me. Quick Draw did damage to me, and then I just opened up with my 2 arcs. Got like 9 hit out of the 8 dice. I think I got 7 hits, and Blackout was just
jeez.
Blackout just said no. I don't want to play anymore. So
taking my ball and going home.
Yeah. Then Anakin was like, good. Now I run away for 2 turns, get my shields back, and then we can play again later. At which point, quick draw came round, and I just did the same thing again. I took some shots. Both arcs were pretty badly beaten up, but I killed quick draw and Blackout, and he just had Tavson, an undamaged Tavson. But I had Anakin behind him. One of the arcs was going to be behind him next turn, and the other arc would have bumped into him. So I was like, there was nowhere he could really go to. So he just shook hands. I was like, yeah, that was a pretty bullshit game. I deliberately made incorrect choices because the variants should come out on my side. Should/could. I'm pretty sure that Anakin doesn't die to 2 shots. Pretty sure. And then it doesn't really matter, does it? If Anakin's not dead, I still win.
Yep, just get those points back and all is right with the world.
Yeah, and especially as soon as he had to shoot, I made sure he couldn't shoot the same arc twice with Tavson, and then it's like, yeah, this is it. I'll spread damage across my entire list and kill you. This game feels easy. I'm so good. Look at you not being able to shoot my ship anymore because I now out PS you. It's like, yeah, okay. So I made one stupid bullshit move which killed a silencer, sorry, and then it was game over at that point. But we played a few more turns until we eventually shook hands. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Good. All right, so I think we can just roll straight into the news because that's how we're rolling tonight. Would be remiss. I do have a friend of mine, Adam Landon, who is running an event. I promised him I would say something this episode. So Adam, this one is for you, and that would be the Kappa Cup 4. This is the 4th year for them doing it. You can find out any information you'd like on their website, which is kappacup.net. This is an event going on October 25th through the 27th in 2019, and it'll be taking place at the Holiday Inn in Grantville, PA. They are running a ton of Star Wars oriented. This is more like an FFG kind of event, to be perfectly honest with you. So if it's an FFG game, they're playing it there. X-Wing, Imperial Assault, Destiny, Legion, Armada, and of course Keyforge, because Keyforge is an FFG property. I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to run that one. But one of the other things that really struck me, they're running the old Decipher Star Wars CCG, Star Wars CCG game, which jumped out to me as like, oh wow, that's really cool. I have some of those cards floating around, so I don't know if I can make this particular event. I'm gonna try, although we just talk about spending wife points to go to Minnesota, so that might have just burned
away.
Yeah, that's age. Away. Yeah, exactly. So
that's not even this half of a year.
I know, right? So, point being, if you are anywhere in the central PA area, I highly recommend checking those. Adam and their entire Kappa group is a fantastic group. I know Chad's been to that event, spoke very highly of it. Hopefully, it doesn't snow this year. It is even because it is in October. Chad did get kind of snowed in the first year that he went. So, again, go ahead and check that out. That is KappaCup, KappaCup.net for more information. So, that covers that. In the news, where do I want to start? So a couple of funny things have happened. I think we should go with the oldest news first and work on the way rolling in. There was I don't know if this was an official announcement from FFG. They're doing something interesting with Worlds.
Yeah.
It was
official. Yeah.
It wasn't. Okay, so it was an official release. It's not going to be at the Game Center anymore, which I have to tell you, hearing that floored me. Because I was convinced that FFG was going to continue to run X-Wing Worlds at that game center, which is a beautiful facility. If you've ever get the opportunity to get to see it, it's amazing. It's a gigantic game store center. They're not going to be running Worlds there. They're going to be running it at an off-site location. So this, to me, shows me that FFG has developed some maturity in the way that this event is being run, and that they are beginning to recognize the limitations of the size of that facility, because it is a big facility, but when you're talking about an event that could be running 1,000 people potentially, you don't have the room there at that facility. So while it's comfortable, it's like playing in your own backyard. They've got a great kitchen there at the event center. Everything they need is going to be there. They have elected to move this off site. I, for one, am for this. I didn't hear where they're moving it to.
It is the Roy Wilkins Auditorium in the St. Paul River Center in St. Paul.
Okay, so that's one of their big convention centers, I know. So that's more of the larger convention styles, which
Yeah.
again, yeah, that
Um,
to me again shows some level of maturity. Like they recognize that the event has gotten too big for its britches, and that while HQ is cool, it is going to be run in a better location with
Some
more size.
something to think about too is you look at what Fantasy Flight or Asmodee has done, and I think this is more Asmodee than maybe Fantasy Flight. Just a opinion here, but I think that Asmodee is really trying to put a lot into the organized play side of things. You look at what they've done, who they brought in as the head of their organized play branch. A pretty well known guy from I'm not sure England, maybe
it's from the UK, yeah.
UK, yeah. So they're actually trying to seemingly step this up, and you know, maybe next year, not this year, but maybe the next year, we'll see go back to having more of an open, or at least having a more open event, which they do have kind of with that open qualifier thing that they're going to run.
So October 16th is the X-Wing Last Chance qualifier and also the Coruscant Invitational. So the people who won System Opens will play in the Coruscant Invitational. At the same time, there is going to be a 400 player Last Chance qualifier.
Yeah, that's what they needed to do.
And that's more what you're thinking about, Sean, as far as the open event.
Correct. Where I don't remember what did they have, 256?
Yeah.
I think the last couple times they did it.
So that's 400 people who don't have invites as well.
Right. So you have Worlds is back. The Worlds event is back.
From what
it's just not called Worlds this time.
Yeah, from what I gather from extrapolating information from different sources and what they said on the stream. So if you think that X-Wing is going to be set up for a 400 player tournament on the 16th, then you have X-Wing Day 1A and X-Wing Day 1B. One might assume that those are both going to be 400 seats with all of the invites that have given out. The top 64 are guaranteed a seat at one of those days. Then, if people don't claim seats, they will filter that down. So, you're talking that for the actual Worlds, there's 800 seats available, which is more than when they ran it over 3 days is the biggest Worlds have done.
Yeah, they did 3 flights.
Yeah, theoretically, I think it was 260-ish numbers is what they were able to take in. And even then, they only, one of the days was only 120-ish or something.
That was day one because most people couldn't. That was the one to get into, if you remember. There were folks that were trying to game the system to see if they played in flight 1, it'd be better because there'd be less people.
Yeah. But even if all of those were full and you added them together, it's still smaller than this new Worlds. And that's all of those days were when you had all of the invites as well. So this is a much bigger event. I feel like it's at the point now where if you try to buy a ticket for Worlds, you will probably get one now. I can't see a 400 seat tournament selling out when, if you already have a ticket, you don't need to think about this.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm all for it. All for it.
Yeah, again, I'll give... it's what Bob had spoken about for years on Nova. I know I'd been an advocate of it being a more prestige-based event and more invites, and then if you want to do an open thing, make it a qualifier. So I'm happy that this is how they've gone. It's pretty exciting them moving away. I'm a little bit disappointed. I don't know that I'd stay in the Radisson now, so I'm trying to figure out where I would want to stay if I get to go, because I'm trying to get a press pass, and I've offered my services as a judge or TO as well, but there's issues with not being American, so
imagine that.
Sad times.
No, cause, for those of you that don't know the physical geography, quite literally you could walk from the Radisson Hotel to the FFG Game Center.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, that was, and that
you could walk from the Radisson Hotel hot tub,
right,
to the Game Center.
And I may have done that. All right, so that kind of covers that. So bravo for them. It is interesting to me that they announced it mid-season, as opposed to the way that they made all the announcements before. To me, I don't think it matters because I feel like they're getting it right, and they're getting it right well in advance of the event. So bravo FFG. I will give you full credit for that one. So moving on.
One thing I do want to add one more thing. I think what helps with that is that they're moving the other event, because the thing that was always the problem is they were trying to run everything. They were trying to run X-Wing, Armada, and everything else. And they parsed those world championships out, which allows them to do something like this on a bigger and better scale. Because I think they're only going to have, that and Destiny together?
Yeah, Imperial Assault and Armada have both already had the world championships. So they were at Adepticon, I believe, this year.
Right. And you'll have, that's great. That's the best way to do it.
I think they know where their bread's buttered, and they know which one is the most popular game, and they're trying to cater to that. And I think they're doing a fine job of it. I mean, like I said, this kind of goes back to old conversations that we had on the old show, Nova Squadron Radio, way back when we were talking about Worlds. Like, this is a fledgling company that was just getting, maybe not fledgling, the FFG had been around for a while. That's probably an incorrect statement. This was a fledgling game that, as the game grew in popularity, it quickly outgrew what they expected it to be. So over time, they have been correcting course on how to run these organized plays events. And I think this is probably the first year I think that they've got it right. Well, like, you can't complain about it anymore.
When you look at year one was 2012, that's the year Doug Kinney won it. That was like 40 or 60 people. I can't remember the total. Year
43. I remember that number well.
So then you had year two, which had 2 flights of roughly 128 per flight. And then year 3, it just kept getting bigger and bigger to the point where they maxed it out. And they couldn't do anything else, and then trying to run everything else at the same time over, a 4 or 5 day span just didn't work out. Now, you're going to get 400 people. You can probably charge 50 to $100 a head. People are going to come. I mean, they can afford to do this now. They're big enough, and they've invested in their organized play enough to do this. And the other thing that they did that was smart is they made judges contractors, so now you have the ability to get more judges. It was 2013, you would have had people volunteering, but really and truthfully, there wasn't anybody volunteering, and just me. 2014, sorry, was me. 2013 was all them. 2014 was me, and then you started to see it trickle in 2015, 2016. And then it blew up when they, when their organized play kind of got bigger. When Asmodee came in, stepped in too, and said, we want to do this, and, you look at Matt Holland, who has a new position, they have, it's just great. It's great that the way that they're doing it and the way that they're trying to expand what they're doing and make these events for the players rather than an event for fantasy play.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, so let's get to the main topic, which is there has been some leaking coming from the world of X-Wing. So let's hit the hot button one first. There was an early-ish release of the new rules reference. And obviously, of course, before we sat down to doing preparation for the show, when I go on the FFG's website right now, as we're recording this on Thursday, the 6th, I hate dating the show, but that is when we're recording it. This rules reference is not on FFG's website. So we have had instances in the past where people were able to find cards or abilities for pilots long before they were released in official capacities because people knew how to work the system with their URLs and find these things. So I don't know if this is how someone got it or not. What I do know is that somewhere, somehow, someone leaked the rules reference, which was supposed to be released today. And of course, we've looked over it. Kris, you kind of sent that out to everyone. There's only a handful of things in there really to make note of, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of it is just what you'd expect from a new release, because obviously today was supposed to be the day that all of the Wave 4 went out, but not every continent got it today.
In fact, only one. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, so the big ones are obviously that it adds in the electron-proton bomb, it adds in fuse markers, it does specify stuff for paying costs, which is actually, this is my favourite part. It's really just 2 lines on page 2, easy to miss. Replacement effects can replace a cost that a ship would pay for an effect. If a cost is replaced in this way, the effect is still resolved. So that means that all of those Mining Guild TIE fighters that had words on them that meant that they didn't work, now work. So when you use Overseer Yashin and what is it, Foreman Proach, I think it is. So one of them can take a disarm token to tractor beam you, and then the other one is if someone receives a tractor beam token, sorry, a disarm token, you can replace it with a stress. So we can now tractor beam you and still shoot you, which is how we were always intended to work. It was really obvious, but by the words of the rules, they didn't, because the cost of the ability was receiving. And it also flip-flops the ruling for static discharge vanes and feedback array. So now when you take the ion from feedback, you can say, excuse me, sir, could you hold this ion for me as well as that damage I just gave you? And be all okay. It's fine. And if you're playing as, I think it's Forlom, the stress that you get, you can also ask them to hold that. It's okay. So feedback array, static discharge vanes, and Forlom just got even better.
That's what I love about some of these simplistic rulings like that, where it's just 2 simple lines, but it clears up so much.
Yep.
And so much rules lawyering, fighting back and forth. There's your 2 lines.
Yeah, like I said, adds in fuse markers. We have another one for revealed maneuvers. I think we touched on this when we were talking about Rick Olay and stuff like that last week.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, I suppose. Some abilities reference a ship's revealed maneuver outside of that ship's activation. A ship's revealed maneuver is a maneuver selected on its dial, which remains face up next to a ship's card until the next planning phase, like it says in the rules already. It's kind of
like reiterating rules that are already there, but it's there.
Then this is the more interesting sub bullet point. If a ship's dial is not revealed, or it was not assigned a dial that round, that ship does not have a revealed maneuver.
Oh, so something like whenever you're ionized, for example, you don't set a dial.
Which is obviously going to lead in. I've not scrolled down to the FAQ yet, so this will be interesting if it's actually in there or not. But that means obviously Rick Olay references if my revealed maneuver is faster than your revealed maneuver, I get an extra die. If you didn't reveal one, that means it can't be. Because you didn't. I'm comparing this thing to something that doesn't exist, so it doesn't happen.
Yeah, to nothing.
Yeah. So no, you can't go faster than someone who doesn't reveal a dial because reasons.
Right.
But we'll see. I'll scroll down now and be wrong, and then I'll leave it in.
Again, I didn't look into the FAQ section either myself, so I'm curious to see if they address what happens if someone reveals a dial and
this is one we spoke about already. So I've already scrolled down, but this kind of
that's okay.
Leads into what I just said. So remember when we were talking about remotes and if you could flank them or not, or outmaneuver them?
Yep, there was that other one for the remotes, correct.
If a remote does not have any arcs, a ship cannot be in or outside of any of that remote's arcs. Outmaneuver only references not being in it, and you are not in it. So
it doesn't activate. So it doesn't proc.
It does.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You're not in it. It doesn't say you must be outside it. It just says you mustn't be in it. So you're not in an arc.
Works
again, I'll scroll down and they'll have just FAQ'd that to be wrong and I'll look stupid. But because I'm a fan of Kris looking stupid, we'll leave it in.
But that was, mostly any of the new weird little wonky stuff that Resistance was adding is what got added to the rules reference. That's it.
So this is my favorite because this just triggers the shit out of people. So they did... they added magenta to the question of if the loose cargo from rigged cargo chute then need magenta or spare parts from spare parts canister, magenta stops. Overlaps another ship, what happens? It is placed underneath the ship and the ship overlaps it. So what people are crying about is that it doesn't explicitly state, and then you suffer the effects of overlapping it.
Oh, for the love of God.
So I would say, well, why did they tell you it overlaps it then?
Yeah, why does
Well,
it explicitly state that you're overlapping?
yeah. If you didn't overlap it for the purposes of overlapping it and suffering the effects, the answer to this question would have been nothing.
Right.
What happens? Nothing. But it says you overlap it, so you overlap it. Suck it up. Don't
Right.
get.
So it triggers the first proc of that ability, which is when you overlap. That should be sufficient enough to answer that question.
Yeah. And this is why I don't. There's a good chance that I'm even going against what the rules Illuminati group says on that one, but I don't care. It says you overlap it, suck it up.
Right. End of story. Anything else that came out of that? I mean, that's pretty much, like I said, I know there were a couple of other FAQs that I saw, but nothing that jumped out to me as monumental.
Oh, I'm wrong. If a remote has no arcs, can abilities that resolve while not in the defender's arc or other arcs resolve? No, a ship cannot be outside of any remote's arcs that a remote has no arcs of. I don't know. So
Oh, wait. So was I right?
maybe I'll have to double check. I'm gonna have to read out maneuver again. I'll just.
Because it says I have to be outside the arc, but I don't have an arc.
Yeah. Does it say outside? I thought it said. Oh, it's fine. We'll rule that Kris was wrong on that one.
Yes.
Score 1 for Ed.
Ding. There's one.
Yeah.
All right. So the other thing, or unless you got more on this one that we're missing.
Just so it specifies form and approach and overseeing. Blah blah blah. Yeah, and works how I said.
Good.
Then there is plasma torpedoes, which I don't know why this is in there because it felt really simple. But remember when we said plasma torps, that you lose a shield before you deal damage.
Mm-hmm.
It says that you lose a shield before you deal damage.
Doesn't the card explicitly state that though?
Yeah, but it still needs people to spell to fight for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to some fun stuff. So I don't want to hear you Aussies complain anymore about all the stuff that you don't get because you're in Australia, because you got Wave 4 before everybody else. And in true X-Wing fan fashion, the instant someone got a hold of some of the Resistance stuff, it was up on the FFG forums.
Yes.
So we know some of the new stuff that came out of this one. So we're going to go over some crew cards that were in here really briefly. And my first major disappointment for Resistance, if I might add, Admiral Holden is in here. I didn't even realize her name was Amelin. It's Amelin Holden. One crew slot, obviously Resistance only. Before you engage, you may choose one other friendly ship at range 1 to 2. You may transfer to that ship one token of one token type that ship does not have. That ship may transfer one token to you of a type you do not have. I'm super disappointed that this doesn't read, you may select a friendly ship at range 1 to 2. It can fly through another ship and kill it immediately. Where's that ability? Because that's what she did in the damn movie.
No, she transferred her I'm about to die token to the other ship and then died anyway. I don't know.
If we're going for theme of the movie, she should have been able to fly a ship through. That would have actually been funny. You could pass through a ship and do damage.
I'm gonna damn myself even more here. So I finished listening to the audiobook for Jurassic Park while I've been driving around with Evie and stuff.
Like the Michael Crichton one?
Yeah, Michael Crichton's one of my favourite authors. I love Jurassic. I prefer The Lost World because I watched the Jurassic Park movie, then read the Lost World book, then read Jurassic Park. So I always preferred the Lost World, but obviously I don't mind. It's fine.
There are some drastic differences between the original book and the movie. They took a lot of freedoms and they changed a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. But we can get into it. That's an in focus right there. Let's talk about how off that book was.
But I'm watching Ellie Sattler. I'm like, oh, that's Amelin Holden. I'd completely blanked out that they were the same actress. So,
yep, same person.
Actor.
Hey, yeah. just for my 2 cents, A Case of Need is probably one of the better ones. But the best one to me, because it's the first one I ever read, was Sphere.
Spheres, I love. So
Sphere was so
Spheres
good.
is such a good movie. I love that movie so much. I keep meaning to watch it with Jill because I'm pretty sure she hasn't seen it, but it's one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like the movie?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not.
God.
I don't know if I've read the book though. So there you go.
That's helpful. Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
If you've read the book, the movie is a huge turnoff.
Okay.
Yep.
But Dustin Hoffman was a horrible, horrible choice for the character. But Crichton was so good because Andromeda Strain was so good. Congo was good. They all were really good.
I don't like Congo the movie.
No, I'm talking.
But Tim Curry's in it. How
Yeah.
can you...
Okay. So
I have a warm spot in my heart for Tim Curry. Sorry.
I think I really derailed us here, didn't I? Michael Crichton looks so good. I'm on Hodor. Resistance only, one crew swap.
Yep.
So
All right.
one thing if you actually look at the thread on FFG, it's at like 8 pages long now, something like that. And I've not read it, but I'm assuming it's just people whining about there being text on these cards. It's so long, it's so
Yeah, someone said something that the font size was one smaller so they could fit all the text onto it. I do remember seeing that part. That's where I stopped, by the way.
Yeah. So, what's wrong with this card? Before you engage, you may choose another friendly ship at range 1 to 2. So, timing and condition. You may transfer a token to that ship of a type that ship doesn't have. What it does. Then it has an additional step. That ship may transfer a token to you of a type you don't have. Fucking simple. Seems really easy. I got that on the first read through.
It's kind of like Manaroo Light with a plus.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, and keep in mind, both of those conditions are may.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to do it if you don't want to, or you can only go one way or the other. You don't have to do both.
So there are a few things I need to reference here. One of them is actually in the rule book, not in the rule reference guide. The rule book has a page where it lays out all of what are tokens and what are markers. Because a shield is a marker. You can't transfer shields to ships that don't have them. A force charge is a marker. You cannot transfer a force charge to a ship that doesn't have it. The other one would be that I think it's jamming beam talks about the jam action in general talks about the color of tokens. The color of a token and the shape of a token are defining characteristics of tokens. It doesn't make them a type of token. So green is not a type of token, but it's a descriptor of a focus token. It would be a focus token would be a green token. But so you can. People are already saying, well, does that mean I can transfer a green token, but not if I can't give it an evade if it has a focus because they're both green? No, that's just a color, not a type. So, and finally, one last one. There is no such thing as a blue target lock token in second edition X-Wing.
Correct.
You have an ID marker, and then you assign the enemy ship a red target lock token of a corresponding number to your ship ID. So whilst you could transfer an enemy target lock with Hodor, you cannot transfer a friendly lock because there is no token for you to give out. Even if you're using the lack of target lock tokens we sent out, you get a blue one and a red one. You can't transfer that blue one because theoretically it doesn't exist in 2.0. It is just there as a reminder for you as a player that is where those two corresponding locks are.
Yeah. Now that used to be a mechanic in first edition, and some of us old guys still stick around and have those blue reds. I still use blue reds myself.
Yeah, I do as well, but it's more of because of old shitty players like us who don't bother reading the rules. You just assume that I'm going to transfer this token because they are tokens. They count under the rules, but the blue one doesn't exist, so you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
What you can do is give Paul that focus token and take away his stress.
Yes,
Right.
that you can do.
you could give Paul that focus token and say, you know that weapon disabled you got from recharging your shields this turn? Do you want me to hold that? I don't even have a shot anyway, mate. Do you want me to hold that for you?
Yeah, I'll hold that for you.
Yeah. The caveat of all of this is, as Chris Allen pointed out to me when I was chatting in a Discord about how stupid it would be to put it on the cheap, you can take the resistance pod, put hold on that, and literally reinforce deflectors, which we'll get to. I think we've got deflectors in here. If not, we'll talk about that anyway. So you could take a reinforce action, give him your green reinforce token, and take away his stress. So Paul now has a reinforce token. But it's before you engage, so it happens at the carrier ship's initiative step. So if you're wanting to give Paul a token, it's not going to happen at initiative 6 unless Hodor is on Han. So
yeah, I could say, okay.
So she's really, really good, but you have to remember what the card says. Yeah, you have to remember what the card actually says, not what you want it to say, no matter how much you want it to say that.
All right, so there's a lot of conversation on Hodor. Let's go ahead and get into...
And it's Hodor. Hodor is in Game of Thrones and is also dead now.
Died almost equally as stupidly. Anyway, so we do have Leia Organa for the Resistance. She is one of those rare 2-crew slots, meaning there's only going to be a handful of ships that can actually carry her. Resistance only. She grants a purple coordinate. She does have 1 force charge with a 1 tick up, meaning that she requires to spend the force used to coordinate. Her ability, very, very eerily similar to her Rebel version. After a friendly ship reveals its style, you may spend 1 force token. If you do that, the chosen ship reduces the difficulty of that maneuver. Please take note that that does not state range.
Yes.
At all.
No. Be a real shame if Paul now decided to do it too hard and it was white because I took R2 instead of R4. Oh, I'll clear that stress anyway. You know what, Hodor? Don't even bother holding that stress for me. I've got it. It's okay.
I got it. I got this.
What's that? I want a K turn now. Oh, okay. Seems good.
Yeah, go for it.
So I can do a white K with Paul, then black one.
Cool. So there are arguments, of course, that she's worse than her Rebel one because it doesn't affect the entire squad. I would argue that she's better.
Yeah, she's most
because she could do
better.
it. She could do it every turn if she wanted to.
Yes, that's the key. So how often, if you're flying a Rebel Beef squad with Leia in it, and all of your ships need to do a red move, that is probably your bad flying. Touch wood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take offense if you want to. I don't really care, to be honest. It's just me talking garbage on the internet. I don't even know why you're listening. You probably shouldn't.
But with Rebel Leia, though, you can only do it once every 3 turns.
Once every 3 turns, and it turns red moves white. This turns white moves blue.
Yes.
Right.
Which
from anywhere on the board.
From anywhere on the board. That ship that I need to clear its stress this turn just did.
Yeah, that purple coordinate's almost like icing on the cake. Genuinely.
Let's say you only need to do it once. Once every 3 turns. Okay, well, I'll just have a soft mod on my ship end instead.
We're looking at like a 20-point card here, though.
Probably. I was going to come to that.
I mean, because you're getting into 1.0 original Emperor territory here.
Thank you. That's where I was going to.
With this and being able to do it every turn. I mean, you're looking at a lot of points to do this too. I'm sure.
Let's compare it to the other one. So we'll bring up Extended Empire. I need a Lambda shuttle because I refuse to put Palpatine on anything else.
That's right. Even though it's still not out for 2nd edition for whatever reason.
Yeah. Palpatine is 11 points. Yeah. So would you pay 11 points? We'll play this. I enjoyed this game last time, Ed. So Sean can join in. Would you pay 11 points for if you could take
For
Palpatine
this
or
ability?
Leia, which one would
For
you
this
pick? Yeah.
Leia at this point.
Okay. So let's find Snoke as well. We'll throw Snoke in the mix. Leave there. This one can be hyperspace. And Upsilon and Supreme Leader Snoke. So Snoke's ability is during the system phase, you may choose any number of ships beyond range 1. If you do, spend that many force charges to flip the chosen ship's dial face up. He's 2 crew as well and costs 13 points. I'm going to say, like, cheating and looking at other people's dials is good. But if you now had 13 points for Leia, would you take Leia or Snoke?
Leia.
Okay.
My reasoning for this, the thing is, she now makes potentially any ship a defender.
Yep.
One ship a defender.
Better than a defender when you have things like
better
Talon
than a
rolls.
defender. Right. I was just going to say, then she becomes makes a ship better than a defender, because now that defender, who let's say had a stress on them for whatever reason, and now she gives them the ability to clear it later on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be situational, wasn't it? Just because of the 2 slots.
So what about? Would you pay? So we're at 13 points, and it's not a competition yet. So what about if she was 30 points? If she was old Luke Gunner cost? You're paying for access to a coordinate action, a force point, and her ability. Would you pay 30 points for that?
I would have to almost say yes. I mean,
yeah, I think we're almost in the same territory.
I think we're in the same territory because of what Luke can do. Luke's a badass. Luke makes the Falcon a better ship than it ever could be without him. Leia would make a fleet better.
Yeah.
The key is to me what makes this different. What makes me not even regard your escalation of points really here is the fact that it's anywhere on the board.
Yeah.
And that's the key
that's
to
part of it. I mean, we've got to assume that she can actually go in the resistance transport because we've not seen the actual
right
slots for it. So I don't like doing it this way because, well, frankly, the scavenged YT 1300 for resistance is pretty bad. But you've got 2 crew slots, so it's a choice of Leia or 2 others. And so picking stuff that we know points of, you can do Rose and 3PO. Let's see. So Rose, it gives you all of the time when defending or performing an attack. You can spend one of your dice to acquire a lock on the ship. And then 3PO gives you access to coordinate, which is potentially unlimited range. And when you do coordinate, you get a calculate token. That combination would only run you 15 points. So
it's still better.
She's still better.
But so how much would you pay? So at 30
that's
points,
why I said 20 points. My point is 20 points. I think this pings that 20 point slot. Or more, it could potentially be more. For me, I think 20 points.
I think if she's 22, 23, I think I'd go Rose and 3PO. If she's the same points, I would 100% take Leia. If she's 20, right.
Well, so there's one other thing I think it needs to go into the math in this one, though. Like, how many ships are we aware of currently that can even carry her?
No, that's right. So we're assuming Star Fortress can start. No, that's got. Star Fortress can't because that's got 2 gunners. So it's currently only the Falcon and presumably a resistance transport.
Right. So while she may be 20 points, she's really not.
Yeah.
You're going to send the ship because I don't care even if you do it the same way the old tactics were with the old Palp shuttle where the ship would just stay completely out of combat as long as humanly possible. You're still paying for the vehicle that's driving her around to be able to provide that ability. So we got to kind of keep that in mind as well when we're doing this.
Do we know the stats of the Rebel transport, the transport ship?
2-1 4 and 3, I think, off the top of my head. I can probably find them somewhere because they were on the stream. Let me double check. So I actually have the FFG live stream prepped already. So was it Logistics Division Pilot is the Initiative 1. It is a 2 attack, 1 agility, 5 hull, and 3 shields.
Well, so one other part of this to me that influences me is that this is after any of your ships. So after a friendly ship reveals its dial, that's another thing in this that matters to me, because this isn't dependent upon the ship she's on. Yes, you're also adding that cost in. I get that, Ed, and that's an excellent point. But for the ability, if you can use her, let's just say 3 times in a game, it's worth the cost of that ship. It's just like Palp was with the shuttle in 1.0 before they nerfed him.
Having built, so I've built and played resistance squads. So I'd have to drop one of my A-wings, presumably, to fit in Leia in the resistance transport. So that the current build I ran, that would give me 40 points. I don't think I get Leia for 40 points.
Probably not.
So that means I'm having to drop 2 A-wings.
But is this worth to run in an A-wing list, or is this better to run in a list with like a Poe?
So Poe, I'm thinking you're now looking at probably having to do Poe still at 75 points. That's relatively cheap, but maybe you could lose. I don't know if you can lose Black One and still have him be as versatile, but I feel like if you're wanting to do Poe and something else above Initiative 3, you're running a 3-ship list. If you want anything meaningful on the ship carrying Leia.
Yeah.
I don't know that you fit Poe and Leia in a 4-ship resistance list. If you can, I'm in. All in. I will play the shit out of that list.
I completely agree.
Well, the thing I have is the shuttle stats aren't that great if that's the stats. So you're looking at reduced. Now, if they cost Leia 20, you're really going to have to think and maximize your list elsewhere. But she's part of that maximization. Where if she's a 10, 12 point cost, oh my God, is she will more than worth the value of that ship you put in there, because she's going to make other things better.
So let's look at the resistance transport then. So let me find it back on the stream again because I've jumped back forwards. So Logistics Division Pilot, it was a 2-1-5-3 for Initiative 1 with focus, target lock, red coordinate, and red jam. If we compare that to what's the cheapest ship I can do, so 32 points for a Blue Squadron recruit for the A-wing, same attack value, 2 extra agility, and I lose out on half as much health, and I don't get any of the support abilities. So if the Blue Squadron recruits 32 points and the resistance transport is 32 points, which one do you pick?
The transport.
So, like, you'd never take a Blue Squadron recruit, or would you just take? If it was multiples, would you? Is it a choice for you? If you're looking to run,
you're always. It all depends what your tactic is and what you're using.
So if you've got, say we're building a 4-ship list and you've got 3 ships nailed down and you've got 1 ship left. Leia aside, we don't have Leia in the list at the moment. So for example, for my list, I drop one of my A-wings. I've got 40 points, so I can put an A-wing back in for 32 points and have an 8-point bid, or I can put a transport in and have an 8-point bid.
I mean, it's to your play style at that point.
Yeah.
It also depends upon
so
what you want to get out of that list.
So what I'm saying there is that if you think it's a choice or not, or would you definitely take one or the other? Because if you think it's a choice,
Oh, I
then
personally
32 points seems about right. Then, if you get what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah, I get exactly what you're
Right,
saying.
obviously, because if it's dropped for Police Squad Recruit and pay 10 points for a transport, that fucking transport's nailed on every time. There's no choice there, you know?
Right.
Because we know that Leia probably isn't going to be more than 30 points, which means I can have transport and Leia.
Right.
So,
I'm just, my original question is her
yeah.
cost,
Yeah.
because you could still put her on the reason. I understand the Resistance Falcon isn't as good, but you could even put her on that and put her on at least a ship with some durability and ability.
If we put her on the Resistance Falcon, you are paying a minimum currently, if assuming the points don't go down for Resistance Falcon. If we're saying that she's 20 points, you're paying 88 points for a Initiative 2 Resistance Sympathizer.
Which... Yeah. I don't think that's good market value for what your list is going to be.
That's but one thing I do think about when you do that though is if you look at the dial on the Resistance Sympathizer, if it's carrying Leia, that dial suddenly becomes pretty fucking blue.
Yeah, I was gonna say
super blue.
Yeah. What's that? I'll do this 3 hard and clear my stress.
Right.
Oh dear, she's so good. That I'm just thinking like, that might actually make me fly Resistance Han. I'll deploy right in front of you, then I can do my 4 and it's white, and then I can boost, and it's fine. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, let's move on because we could.
I was going to say Leia got a lot of play.
I think she's worth it though.
That's the golden nugget right there. That is one of the better cards I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. All right, so we also got Larma, and I want to say that that's Daisy, but with a little emphasis on the wrong syllable. I don't know how you.
Probably Daisy.
DAC, I could see that one too.
The reason why I say that is because it's a D with a capital A.
Correct. Yeah, I can see that. One resistance crew slot. While you have 2 or fewer stress tokens, you can perform a reinforce, coordinate, and jam actions even while stressed. While you perform a white, reinforce, coordinate, or jam action, if you are stressed, treat that action as red.
Yeah. So given what ship she comes in, I think this is really good.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to. I don't think you can talk about her without talking about the next card on the list.
Well, then let's roll into it. And that's going to be Corsella. Again, this is a 1 resistance crew slot. If you fully execute a blue maneuver, remove all of your stress tokens. Not just 1, all of your stress tokens.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop this round with my transport because I want to fall back a little bit and be in the back because it's a support ship. But I want to coordinate as well. So I will. Then when I do my 1 straight next turn and clear it, I'd like to clear both so that I can coordinate again.
Do that
please.
Again.
Is that okay? Thanks.
Tycho's like, where was this lady when I needed her? When I was carrying the red wagon full of stress tokens behind me.
Yeah. I don't know if we see. I don't know if there's a dial in that shot. Okay. So dial for the resistance transport is the 0. It's got red reverse as well. There's a lot of red on that dial, so yeah, I'm not overly sad. I can't really make it. It looks like the 1 banks and 1 straight's blue and the 2 straight's blue, and everything else is either white or red. So I think that could be a cool combo. Having the 2 of them on there. You can do your red move and still function.
Yeah, no, I like that. I'm actually trying to force my way through the entire thread to see if I'm missing anything else that was dropped off on that. Um, anyway, so we do have a droid as well to make sure that we're covering. PZ4C0 or CO, I think it's CO, gives you the calculate token. At the end of the activation phase, you may choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 2. If you do, transfer one calculate token to that ship. If your revealed maneuver is blue, you may transfer one focus token instead.
So I think this ability is a little bit weird. Again, it's all about moving action efficiency around. You can do a blue maneuver and pass focuses, which is pretty cool. We know obviously Jake Farrell works really well in that being his only role. So if you can do this relatively cheaply on a resistance pod, that seems okay. The thing that I want to actually touch though is that he gives you the coordinate action, the calculate action on your action bar. So now what you have to do is go and look at C3PO for resistance. Because that's when you realise, didn't C3PO say something funky about if that ship can calculate? So C3PO gives you a red coordinate. While you coordinate, you can choose a friendly ship beyond range 2 if it has a calculate on its action bar. Neat.
Neato.
So what I might do is put this droid on Han with no intention of ever fucking using his ability ever, but give Han extra actions from the other side of a board.
Lovely.
Oh. There's lots of funky stuff coming on resistance cards that I kind of like. I'm going to have to...
Go to page 2, about halfway down. There's angled deflectors.
Is that where it is? I knew it was on
Yeah.
there somewhere.
Yep, I was getting to that.
Yeah.
So angle deflectors is a modification.
Yeah.
Small, and this is not resistance only, so this is open for all. Small or medium ship shield value of 1 or more, meaning you have to at least have shields. It drops one of those shields and gives you the reinforce action.
I'm really sad about this.
Why?
Small or medium only. I want to angle deflectors on my Falcon. Because
Right?
Han says he's going to do it. And it's like, well, you can't, Han. Your ship's too big, man. Sorry.
The ass is too big. You cannot do it. You have been forbidden.
Okay, so there's lots of text on this card, none of which means anything.
No, it's all flavor text.
Yeah, -1 shield gives you a white reinforce. Okay. Would you like to tell me if this is good if you put it on Vader? So if this card costs 0 points. For 0 points, I'll let you put this card on Darth Vader. Does your resilience go up or down?
I think it goes up.
It does not go up.
It doesn't?
No.
So I'm falling for that trap.
Yes. So you've got to remember that it's new reinforce, not old reinforce.
Oh, that's true. That's
so
true.
The only time it would help on Vader is if they rolled more than 1 hit. If they only roll 1 hit, reinforce does nothing. So you need to roll 2 or more, and you need to block -1 of them, because reinforce still has to let 1 damage through every time. So if you have 3 agility, please don't take this card. No.
You will regret that.
No. What about 2 agility? Given what I just said, would you put this on a ship with 2 agility? Because I probably would rather have the shield and live on the die. Like, yeah, this now becomes matchup dependent. If I live in Upsilon City and everyone's flying Upsilons and I want to fly X-Wings, then you can maybe make a case for it, but I still feel bad about it. But you know Braylon Stram? You You know what's really cheap on a 1 agility ship? Shield upgrade.
Shield upgrade. Yep.
I'll have that shield back. Oh no, sorry, modification. Shut up, Kris. That was the other one that people spoke about. Was that's why that was in my head. Senior Fell has got 2 mod slots, so you can put shield upgrade on one, and then this. So you buy a shield upgrade, so you lose the shield when you put this on, but you can reinforce with Cynthia.
Ooh.
And that's even more of the wrong choice. Because it has to let her damage through. So it only works twice.
That's true.
Like you've used it, it's not like you can have a hull upgrade as well, because you've just used it on this. But yeah, so B-Wings feel like this is going to be good. U-Wings, when you drop down to 1 agility when you turn around and stuff. Yeah. I like it, but I feel like this has got to be one of those. So you make a choice here. Do you do the variable costing that it's free if you take it on Vader, because stop being an idiot, don't take this on Vader, or do you just say this is 10 points worth of card, and if you choose to make a wrong decision, it's still 10 points worth of card?
I will still punish you for the wrong decision.
Yeah. Obviously, the Decimator is 0 agility but has reinforce. I believe everything that's 0 has a reinforce already, so you probably don't need to take it on one of those. So you're looking at the 1 agility ships. You can't take it on a large base. So K-Wings spring to mind is probably a good choice, because you could like advance slam to control which forward or rear they're in for which sector you want to reinforce, because you can like slam to force them to be 100% behind or in front. So I think decent on K-Wings. I don't know. I don't even know if Ozatuck still have a reinforce or not. I'm gonna have to check, aren't I?
I think they still do. So what you're trying to say is this on the surface, hey, oh, that sounds really, really good. But when you actually sit down and start like picking it apart, you're like, you know what? It's not that good.
Yeah. So, well, it takes Vader down to being a 4 hit point ship, because he's got 3 hull, 2 shields. You just sacrifice the shield to get it. You can't take an evade action. So if you're taking a reinforce and relying on it, I don't know. There'll be someone who takes it and does good and feels really good about it, but they're wrong.
But they're wrong. So I was just going filtering again through the thread on FFG's forum site. The only other thing I noticed is they're pointing out auto blasters, and I saw that and I'm like, I don't ever remember seeing auto blasters. So this might be something.
They used it on the stream.
Oh, maybe that's why it's there. Okay, so this is a cannon slot. It is a generic cannon. Forward arc only 2 attack die, range 1 to 2 attack. If the defender is in your bullseye arc, roll 1 additional die. So really, this is a 3 attack die
to be able to bullseye them. Yeah.
If you bullseye them. Yeah. During the neutralize result step, if you are not in the defender's forward attack, evade results cannot cancel out crits, which sounds very similar to what it used to do.
Sort of, yeah. It was, you couldn't cancel.
It wasn't bullseye arc, but yeah.
And it was only range 1, and I feel like this is better, because if you're running this and you get to range 1 of someone, getting bullseye is relatively easy at range 1, and you now get range bonuses from cannons.
Yes,
so it's a 4 dice attack.
It's a 4 dice attack. That's more chances to roll those crits.
So again, I love this one. We say it all the time. Points dependent.
Points dependent.
You know, Paul can take any weapon type upgrade in the hard point.
Ooh.
Normally, people stick HLC in there for a nice, efficient, 4 points. So if this is like less than
because HLCs
points,
come down so far, when they narrowed it down to bullseye arc, it really started losing its effectiveness.
Oh yeah, but if this is less than 4 points, I can kind of see it, because you can use it in when you've got your foils closed, and not. I don't know.
You're iffy on it. I can see
Yeah.
situations where it'd be good.
For the bullseye ability, I like being a higher pilot skill effectively because it makes the game easier.
Yep.
I don't know. Resistance,
Eh.
B-Wings maybe could take it. Probably wouldn't. I'd probably use a primary.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Kris is yawning.
Yeah.
That means we're getting late here.
Not even late. It's not even 10 o'clock for me. I'm just late.
Well, it's
I've
roll up
been-
on midnight for me, just for the record.
Yeah, I've been up late and up early for the last few nights with going to airports and picking people up and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey ho.
All right, so I think that covers, unless there's anything else you wanted to touch on those topics, I think we've covered all of the main news.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to touch on, the reason I actually have the stream up was so I didn't get the names wrong, but I believe that this is the first proper wave that Brooks, I'm going to butcher this surname, Brooks Fligar Levitt and Gavin Duffy worked on. Because I remember, I've not watched the stream today, but I'm pretty sure I remember them talking about the ships and like how they did mechanics and stuff. So when you think back to Wave 4,
I see where we're going.
For first edition, that was the first proper wave that Alex and Frank worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first proper
The
wave.
Frank Brooks, you mean?
Yeah, the Frank Brooks. But now we've got two new designers on a Wave 4, which is the first one. So is this the wave that kills second edition X-Wing and ruins everything and makes the game unplayable?
No.
Like old Whisper?
No, and because it's a different game, because of the way that they have the ability to change points alone or take upgrade slots away from slots, the stuff that's not printed on the card, no. It may temporarily have a shift in balance and power. That balance and power will be shifted 3 months, 6 months later whenever they do hot fixes to those. So while I agree with your analogy that you do have two new designers coming in, congratulations for their work, I don't think that 2.0 is going to suffer from that same problem. One of the things I love about second edition.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to bring it up now, so because I want to revisit it once we've got the ships in hand and have played some games with them. I wanted to talk about if they feel like they were made by different people.
That's a good point. Yeah,
So,
to see how, and that is a really good analogy. When you brought in, I mean, because the main ships that came in from that wave 4 are the two big ships. Obviously the Falcon the Phantom was the big one. The Z95 saw a ton of play, but then you had two duds. For the long, I mean, yeah, you still had people that were running Corn Horn, but Corn Horn, and that was pretty much the only E-Wing that you ever saw. But then the Defenders, as much as I loved it, nobody ran them.
Another good analogy would be when Max started working on stuff. The mobile arc on the Shadowcaster, I believe, was Max.
It was one of his first things.
The bullseye arc on the Kimagilla.
Mm-hmm.
So these new design spaces that a new designer brought in. So now we've got stuff like...
Which have now been incorporated into the main game for every ship now. Well, the bullseye arc, technically.
Yeah, but I like this because I've always liked the fact that they can change that out. What I like better with 2.0 is they can fix it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, if somebody brings something that's off the wall in and isn't fully caught, and then the community blows it up, you know, it's an easier fix unless it's text.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, but that's everything I think I had.
Excellent. All right, so we have one final piece of housekeeping we need to do here. We haven't done our May giveaway yet there, Kris.
Oh, I didn't go and grab the Vulture Droid. Okay. So, how many
Put him on the spot right now.
weeks were in May? We had
an extra week because I got an extra pay. I remember that.
Yeah, so we had the Focus tokens, the Special Edition Damage deck, we had the Fancy Shield upgrade and Paul LaRue Alt Arts. And then I think I said I'd add a Vulture Droid in last week. So now I need to find another prize, don't I? I don't know. Let's have a look. We'll rummage, see what comes out. What about an acrylic proxy mine?
There you go. Yeah. I got one of those right there.
Yeah. Easy. Go in the
Easy.
drawer of stuff, pull out a prize. This podcasting shit's easy, man.
Absolutely. All right. I've got the physical manual die in this digital age right here in hand.
Oh yeah. D12, I think we're on.
D12. Got it right here.
Yeah, looks good.
Ready?
Yeah.
So that came up number 5.
And Patrick Meir is the winner this time around. So, and I
wait,
have
does
his
he
address.
follow tradition? Does he
No,
follow tradition?
No, he is actually been a patron for a while.
Okay.
So sorry to we do have 2 new patrons as well. We've got Patrick Perlo and Steve. I want to say Bolton because that's near where I used to live in the UK, or where I'm from in the UK, but it's got a U in it. So Bolton, maybe. I'm sorry, Steve. I absolutely see where he's from. Oh, he's from the UK as well.
Oh, now he's one of yours too.
Yeah. But so I do have Patrick's address. So we'll get that sent off. So
Congratulations.
One thing I did have to point out to all the Patreons, so I did get a message which I completely forgot to answer. I'm really sorry. I answered it today as I was doing some housekeeping. But yeah, the next wave of prizes and Patreon stuff for people who haven't got it will be going out this month, as in June. So I'll probably be heading to a post office next week when Jill's off work, so I don't have to take Evie with me. So I'll be sticking them in the mail on, say, the 10th of June. So by the time you hear this episode, in fact, they should already be dispatched. So the prize winners who've not received the prizes yet, and any of Patreons who haven't received the target lock tokens will be getting them. And yeah, I think I've still got a few sets of target lock tokens left, but we need to start having a think about the next thing we want to make. And yeah, any like acrylic companies feel like jumping in and sponsoring us for a little while?
That'd be awesome.
We're coming to that time again, so it's time to beg, borrow, or steal some sponsorship so we can actually pay for the tokens.
Mm-hmm.
I did have one of the listeners message me to ask about Galaxy Gaming Gear, who made the last 2 sets and sponsored us then, because he couldn't remember who they were. I was like, well, maybe I won't tell you the name because he stopped sponsoring us. We need to give us free stuff again so that I can put them back on. But no, Galaxy Gaming Gear is the people we got the focus tokens and target lock tokens through, and they make a lot of interesting acrylic and MDF stuff. But if you would like to take the spot as the premier supporter of lack of focus, just reach out.
Feel free.
Well,
if they wanted to reach out, Chris,
we will show for fancy acrylic. We don't need money.
Exactly. If they wanted to reach out to you, how would they do so?
So we do have a Gmail account, which is lackoffocuspodcast@gmail.com. I checked the emails before we set the show, and the last one was my receipt for having to pay for a Podbean account. No one emailed us this month, so sad times. Just bills. So that email address is there if you do have any questions for us, guys. Anything that you don't feel like an instant message type thing on our Facebook page, which would be Lack of Focus Podcast on Facebook. I don't know if people wanted to watch you play Magic instead of listening to you talk about X-Wing.
Oh yeah, if you really want to. So I do have a YouTube channel that is Old Guy Gaming, OGG. You will find the icon there. And this past month, I have featured Sean every Friday as he has whooped up on me and showed me how to play Magic the right way. So
remember, you whooped up on me in the games though.
Well, okay, yes, this is true, but we also had a lot of table talk that assisted that. So we're going to be continuing that series. Sean and I've already talked about we're going to be doing another one of the deck buildings with Sean. So if you were so inclined and you're interested, go ahead and give that a check out. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So before I move on to do our listener questions, we'll just cover our Patreon again. Obviously, thanks to everyone who signed up for that. We've had 3 new patrons, I think, in in May, which has bumped us back up to where we were before a couple of people left, which a natural process. We don't get sad. Just keep listening, and if you're not listening, let us know why. Feedback's
Yeah,
always good. We had some nice feedback from the last couple of shows. People seem to be enjoying our new format, the new style. So keeping it loose like this doesn't mean we won't insert ads. If someone wants a sponsor, we'll do your ad for you and put it in. We can
absolutely.
we can take breaks again. It's fine. But you can find us on Patreon at Lack of Focus on Patreon. It's pretty simple, like myself. And yeah, all the links are all in the show notes. All of the good stuff. Pretty simple.
And
And
don't forget to play. If you're only listening to us, please don't forget, if you want to see our happy, shiny mugs as we have these conversations, or catch some of the games like we're going to be playing on Vassal, things like that, Kris does obviously have his YouTube channel as well, and that is Dice Hate Productions, and that's where he puts all of his stuff up
yeah.
on the YouTube.
So if you just type in Dice Hate on YouTube, it should come up. And yeah, one. What was it? Oh, that was it. I wanted to talk about the actual content we post to Patreon that we don't post in other places. So we do have audio content on there you can download and listen to, and we have video content on there as well. All free. It just takes a week. I think you get a week's lead time if you're a patron to see it first. One thing that I intend on working on, hopefully on Monday after I've been to a post office whilst Julie's off work, is redoing the Dice Hate website, because that is currently down. I took it down to spur me to actually redo it, because whilst the old one was up, I just didn't do anything. So it's crap, but it's good enough. So now
It's there.
yeah.
So now it's down, and I have to do something.
Yeah, so there will be a redesign of that. I have some decent articles planned, and I feel like patrons are going to get some early access to stuff like that as well. I'll do like patron only like drafts and stuff like that, and we can be a bit more interactive on there. So I'm trying to build that community, and we do have the Dice 8 Discord, so you can join that. There is a link on our Facebook page. I think I made that an attachment. There is a Dice 8 Discord where you can chat to me on there and ask questions and slag me off as voice channels. If you just want to hop in and use it for free as somewhere to play games and never interact with me at all, that's fine as well.
All right, so I think that's going to do it. Sean,
we have listener questions.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I put the
Let's
post
go
up
ahead.
yesterday. I was good. I did it yesterday morning.
Look at
so that people in every time zone had time to ask questions. So given that people
do this whole production thing, you're getting good at this.
People in every time zone. So a local person who I know, Matt LaRoque, asks, in what circumstances would you recommend the use of mixed obstacle types rather than a single type?
Okay, so I think the gas clouds are probably the first one that jumps out to me. If you're looking to get additional evade dice, there are situations where.
But would you ever not just take all 3 gas clouds? That's what he's saying. Like, when would you mix it up?
Mixed.
So I could only think of one instance, and I don't even know if it's still factually correct or not, because I haven't had time to actually put them all out on the table and line them up. But I believe that the largest obstacles was rock, debris. I don't know if that is still true. So the only instance I can think of is if I literally want to occupy table space with obstacles. For example, I wanted places to park vulture droids. I wanted places for Han to get his rerolls, and I wanted to have more control over how much of that area there was. I could use the 3 biggest, and if that is still the case and it's rock, debris, then that is how I would do that. Outside of that niche, I feel like I would always take the one that benefits me the most. I'm going to completely steal this from Paul Heaver. He was on a Minot Flight Academy, and they were talking about obstacles and people saying, obviously, that gas clouds have no consequences. And that is true. Gas clouds are really easy, but they're easy for both of you. the default for me at the moment is I've tried to redo my thinking that I used to use 3 specific rocks for every game, no matter what squad I was doing. And I've gone to what Paul said is just if you don't really have a plan, just use the 3 smallest rocks. So that's what I'm currently doing. I'm running 3 small rocks and seeing if it impacts my play.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't think of any other instance where I'd want mixed obstacle types.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a tough question, actually. I mean, that is it's a good question. I just don't know what the right answer to it is.
Gustavo asks, "What do you think the best way to nerf a quad phantom list?"
Ban the damn Phantom.
No. The short answer to that one is bump the points up,
Yeah, so I've
which they can do with ease.
yeah
Which is probably it's also on my list of things I think are going to get a bump.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure we'll be covering that next week. But
Mm-hmm.
let's have a quick preview, shall we say? So Sigmas are 46 points. So you only have, if you want to be able to run 4 of them, they can't go above a 5 point bump. If you can't run, I feel like you don't even have to go that far. I'm of the opinion that we have what 47. What did I just say? 184 points for 4 of them. If you then increase Duke by
Kris, I have to pause for a second. I am getting your call, so sorry.
Yeah, I'll keep talking. Yeah, so if you increase Duke by more than 6, so if Duke costs more than 6 points, you can't do 3 of them with Duke. And then that's where I think it starts to fall off. That obviously the efficiency is abusing your mods on your opponent's dice, so it goes from there. I don't know. I mean, or you could just remove the EPT. No, no, the chassis. I feel like the chassis needs to go up a little bit because it's still super efficient. We see 3 Imdars are seeing play with Vader and doing quite well, but for specifically the four Phantoms,
I think you hit it. Remove the EPT.
yeah,
That'll kind of nerf them a bit if you're talking about just plain nerfing.
yeah.
It takes away an advantage that they have.
I mean, I admit I was wrong. I thought that the removal of 1 Duke would be significant, and I was wrong. I'm more than happy to say that it was not as significant as I expected it to be. I feel like if you lose 2 Dukes, that would be enough, but I could be wrong again, and I don't know that if it was left to me, and if it was publicly my choice, I don't know if I would have the balls to just increase the points so you could only fit 2 Dukes in there. So I feel like I would probably make it so that you could only do 1. So you're looking at them going up to 53 points each. No, that would be exactly right. So they have to go up to 54 points each, and then you could only you can only fit 1. Sorry, what am I talking about? They'd have to be 53 points each with Duke if you wanted it to not work at all. I think that's right. I don't know. I'm getting tired now. But yeah,
Ed's back.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'm back. So I am going to unfortunately have to jump off. I do need to take care of something that is an issue at work. Unfortunately, that is what happened. I don't know if we're still recording. Are we?
Yeah, we're still going.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll place my apologies. I will say goodbye. I will let the closing happen with Kris.
Oh, no.
This is one of the things about working in IT, and occasionally when you're on 24-hour calls, sometimes you need to jump off when you're on. So this is actually the first time this has ever happened on a show, by the way.
Yeah, we've done pretty well. We've had to rearrange recording sometimes, but no worries. That we'll let you jump off. Do you want to do your closing, and I can cut it out and move it along?
Sure. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Looking forward to next episode where we're going to be doing our game of points going up, points going down, which was oodles of fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. So until next time, guys, fly casual.
Yeah. And that'll do it, folks. So thanks for listening. Make sure you check us out on Facebook. Leave a comment if you're watching a YouTube video. If you're listening to us on Podbean, you can comment there. We're actually actively seeking feedback on the show, always trying to improve. So that's why we try and stress, obviously, the email, Facebook, all different ways you can get in touch with us. But thanks, everyone. And as always, fly casual.
Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out Dice Hate Productions for all the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.